right. Welcome everyone to this AI and the Product Data Process Academy session from PIMvendors.com. I'm Stephan Spijkers. I'm the co-founder of PIMvendors.com. And today we're going to discuss the product data process and how that is being transformed by artificial intelligence. But before we do that, we're going to quickly discuss what PIM is. So what is PIM? We're going to dive into the product data process itself, discuss the impact of AI, and then discuss next steps. So what is PIM? Well, maybe first, what is not PIM? So when you look at all the three-letter words that are available for your IT architecture, we have, master data management, MDM, which is more focused on being the golden record and making sure that you have that operational excellence. It's internally focused, covers the product domain, but also covers other domains. Could be vendor management, customer management. All that can be done in master data management, but product master data management as well. It is, again, internally focused when we contrast it with PIM, product information management, which is more externally focused. It is focused on the product domain, obviously. It is focused on creating that perfect customer experience for the customer, obviously, for your products across all the different channels that are available. So that omni-channel product experience management, that is what PIM is all about, and making sure that that customer journey is as consistent as possible. When we look at DAM, digital asset management, many PIM solutions have some limited form of digital asset management included. It is very close to product data. It is the images, assets, 3D assets, manuals that link to a PIM, a product. And it is externally focused. If you have a large set of assets, or you have a very international setup where you need to fine tune or tailor these marketing and product assets specifically to each market, it makes sense to get a dedicated DAM. Again, there are some DAMs that manage product data, but usually just in relation to these digital assets. So not a real good tool to manage complex product information. A PL lifecycle management tool helps you go through the different stage gates before products become, real products. It is internally focused, not externally focused, and it basically manages the whole life cycle of a product from development, but also maintenance and off-ramping and replacement parts. And then finally, the ERP, the tooling we see most often being abused to manage your complex product data. It is actually more focused on the transaction domain and the finance and logistics domain. So that means that yes, you can store product data in there, but usually just the data that is relevant for facilitating a transaction. So that is logistics data, it is accounting data, financial data, it is the pricing. It is very much internally focused and usually not optimized for creating that perfect experience for your product data. So what is PIM then? It is the process, it is management, but it's also the tooling, the PIM tooling to manage that product data model, to store the product data, and to help you publish that product data. And the PIM is the tool to make that process as efficient as possible. So you get input data from different sources, from your ERP, images, videos, your suppliers, all go into the PIM, and then the PIM will help you publish that to your outbound channels. Could be your e-com site, an app, a printed or digital printed catalog, different marketplaces, feeds, marketing feeds, etc. Now we discussed the product data model, and it's good to understand how a product data model works and how a product is basically built. It starts with the core, which is the master data. That's also the data you'll probably find in an ERP as well. That is the EAN or product number, its dimensions, it's real basic data. Then around that is a layer of rich product data. So that is images, it's commercial descriptions, it's short descriptions, search engine optimization descriptions. It's all kind of rich attributes. And then around that is an outer layer with relationships, basically. So yes, some pricing and commercial information, maybe customer interactions, reviews, sell-through data, or digital shelf analytics, but also relationships. So how is this product linked to upsells, spare parts, and a battery being linked to all the different tools that can use that battery? That's happening in that outer layer. Now, what is the product data process? I mentioned it already a bit, but let's dive in a bit deeper. So it starts with the onboarding of product data from various different sources. You need to get all that data in your own systems, and the PIM helps you map the attributes from your supplier, like dimensions, to your own internal attributes. Maybe you have split those dimensions into length, width, and height. it helps with the enrichments. Obviously, you want to create a rich product data experience, and that starts here. You add images, you add your own personal descriptions, you add the relationships to different other products in your catalog, and then you start publishing that to internal and external channels. And on top of that sits a workflow to manage all the different steps and manage dashboards, manage tasks, manage stage gates. That is all facilitated in the workflow part of a PIM. Now let's dive in a bit deeper. So what happens in that product data process? We saw the overview, but if you look at the onboarding step, you have intake, right? You get different files and API, different ways of connecting to your suppliers. Maybe it's a supplier portal even. Steps that happen in that process are things like classification or deduplication, cleansing that product data that you get in, because, well, we all know that your suppliers won't give you great quality product data all the time. So you need to do your thing to make sure it is up to par. Then you head on over to the enrichment phase. You can create descriptions, short descriptions or long descriptions. You get the translation is happening here. You get linkage to different other parts or products and different assets, so to images or marketing materials. And those can be one-to-many or many-to-one links as well. You have a shoot with various different products in that shot, and you can link all those different products to that one single marketing image. And then finally, the publication can be done internally or externally, but also there you might need to do some transformation or some mapping because your customers expect that data in a different format or with different attribute names than the ones you use, or maybe even different attribute values. So you have to transform your own metric-based length and width and height to imperial, because that's what your customers would like you to send. And you can even do channel-specific enrichment. Now, on top of that, again, the workflow management, that's where the rights and roles are managed. Approval gates, like if you have someone that needs to approve the German translation or that needs to approve a product before it is put live on the web shop, then maybe your web shop manager or your e-commerce manager is doing this. But it's also things like automated workflows. Like if a new product is created, then based on these 6 attributes, create automatically with this AI, this prompt, a short description of the product. And it contains dashboards that track the product catalog and the different stages and steps that are currently being undertaken and how many products still need a German translation, for example. Well, if we then map that to the tooling landscape, you see the different steps in that product data process, so onboarding, enrichment, publication, and you see which systems are responsible for those steps. So in this case, you see the PIM MDM that is responsible for onboarding, enrichment, and publication. You saw that. You get onboarding information, you get product information from different internal systems and maybe external sources. During that onboarding and enrichment, you might have some connections to AI classification and enrichment tools, and then you start publishing that product data to different external channels. I hear you thinking, can we make this a bit more complicated because my internal system is slightly different? Yes, we can. So if you look here, you see that there's different additional steps being added. For example, something I want to highlight is dual setup of a PIM environment. So you have a test PIM environment, then that publishes the rich product data. So you onboard products and you enrich products in the test PIM environment, and then you publish those to the production PIM environment so that you can easily manage the different versions of different products that are available. And I know there are different PIMs that allow you to have multiple versions and work on multiple versions at the same time within the PIM tool. But if that is not possible because it is quite a complicated feature, this is a way to better manage different versions of your product data. Now, how is AI impacting all these different steps? Well, again, if you look at that product data process, there's basically every step in the journey is being affected and transformed, maybe even by the application of AI. If you look at that product data process, you see that onboarding has AI impact. There's multiple tools that help you more efficiently onboard a product, because it is able to map that with AI, or it's able to already enrich additional attributes through a reverse image lookup. It is able to transform product data or translate product data during the onboarding before it even goes into your PIM. Then the classification tool, very specific, is to help you classify a product within a certain category or to a certain product data standard like GS1, like ETIM, like UNSPSC, and make sure that the right category is selected and the right attribute set is selected for each product, right? You get a you get your supplier data. There's a headphone. That headphone needs to be classified as a headphone so that it gets all the different attributes related to headphones. So does it have Bluetooth connectivity? Is it an on-ear or over-ear headphone? But for a laptop, you need a different set of attributes. And an AI classification tool can help you classify, categorize those products automatically. In the test PIM environment, there's also direct AI integrations from like a quick product data description prompt that is an integration with ChatGPT, but you also might have specific AI enrichment tools like fine-tuned models that are specific to your market, or as I said, that can use the image that you have from a photo shoot or even from a pack shot and then use AI to enrich your products in your PIM. Maybe by creating attributes or determining attributes like, oh, this is a V-neck sweater or this is a hoodie based on the image. Color can be determined, of course, based on an image, but it can also use the pack shot to then create photos on models, right? You don't have to go out to Ibiza and do a very expensive photo shoot anymore. You can just use AI to generate that photo shoot. And then, of course, in your production PIM, you have the same, especially when it comes to publication and you need to do, for example, the channel-specific enrichment. Amazon expects you to add 2 or 3 specific attributes that you don't have in your own product data model, or you have that in your description, but not in a specific attribute. Then AI can help you distill that information from your description, map it to the Amazon specific attribute, and then the PIM can push it to your marketplaces, to Amazon. Now, if you look at the different steps, you see that a lot of different steps in the onboarding, enrichment, and publication process are affected by AI, right? Classification, as we already discussed. Deduplication, like finding out whether you already have this product onboarded in your catalog, but with a different product number. The translation is an obvious one, and translation can be done on multiple ways, right? You can use a translation service like Depot, which is an AI translation service, or you use an LLM to build up the translation from the ground, the description, build it up from the ground up in a different language. So you take the same input that you use for English, like the attributes used in creating that description, and you then do the same from the ground up, but then in German and in French and in Dutch. And then in publication as well, the mapping to different attributes that your customers would like to receive, or as I already mentioned, the channel-specific enrichment that is happening there as well. Now, what are the next steps? If you want to explore this further, well, we can help you get to the best setup of different tools in your landscape, whether that is a PIM, an AI tool, or even an iPaaS tool to embed all these different solutions in your product data process. And as we sit in between the technology players and the users of that technology, whether you are a retailer, wholesaler, or manufacturer, we can help you find the best configuration of those different tools and help you get to that most efficient process. We've done that for quite a lot of organizations already across all the different places in the value chain. So from retailers like the Bijenkorf, wholesalers like HBM, retail like Action, but also production companies that we have helped with their product data challenges. And we don't do that with just a very small set of 1 or 2 vendors. We have we know that there are 250 PIM solutions out there. We have listed them all on our website, but there's a set of 50 that we think represent the market quite well. And these are the 50 that we partner with the most. So if you want to get that independent shortlist of solutions that best match you and your company and your challenges, maybe not even now, but also in the future, please reach out to us, visit our website, or even fill in the PIM scan to find that shortlist for you. Now, if you continue to work with us, we have a multi-phase approach to our projects. Whether you do a solution blueprint, which is basically an as-is and to-be description and analysis of your situation, a roadmap for you to execute on when it comes to that next stage in your product data process design, PIM selection, like maybe you already have that blueprint and you have that vision on the future architecture, but you're looking for that specific PIM or MDM. We can help you with an independent shortlist, or guiding the implementation, because you might lack the capacity or the capability internally to really make good decisions about the setup of your product data model or the setup of your product data workflows. And you need a counterpart to discuss or push back on your implementation partner or solution partner when they're setting up and implementing the solution in your architecture. Depending on the choice you make, you have different options of collaboration, whether that is the solution blueprint, the as-is and to-be design with that clear roadmap, whether that is a separate workshop that you would like to do on AI, for example, where we do half-day or full-day workshops to go through different steps or different topics and help you align your stakeholders internally around your product data challenges and hopefully solutions as well. Or in our fractional CDO setup where we help you with, well, flexibly with your product data challenges, whether that is an as-is analysis or guidance during an implementation project, or even just jumping in and operationally helping your teams to get to the quality that you expect. Specifically on the fractional CDO, the fractional Chief Data Officer, yes, it is about those optimized data operations so that you have that process from onboarding to publication set up in the most efficient way possible. It's about getting the best return on investment from all the expensive investments you do to get that data quality to a good level or to get that process in place. But you select a PIM, you implement a PIM, but are you getting the most of it? And maybe you selected one 3 years ago, you started using it with your current level of knowledge at that point, but maybe you want to optimize that return on investment that you do every month or every year in your solution landscape, because maybe you're just using 20% of your PIM. Risk mitigation, compliance, especially now with the digital product passport and all the EU regulations, you want to make sure that you have the right governance set up in place, not just from a regulatory perspective, but also from an internal perspective, that you make sure that the right person signs off on the right tasks. And of course, we try to do this in the most cost-effective way as possible. So instead of having a full team jump in and burn days and days per week with a 5-person team, we jump in and fly in when necessary and only build the hours that we actually spend and invest on your challenges. Now, if you would like to learn more, please do reach out, visit our website, send us an email, or even just call us directly. We'd be happy to help, even if it's just a 15-minute chat. So any question, large or small, please do reach out and stay tuned for the next session in the Academy sessions from PIMvendors. See you then.